So from there, we have to come up with our equations. There are two situations. We're talking about money and we're talking about calories, right? So let's come up with an equation for our money. How much do apples cost? $1.50. Let's use A to represent our apples, because apple starts with the letter A, sure? Okay, so we have $1.50 for apples, and then grapes cost $2. Am I subtracting the cost of grapes, or am I adding the cost of grapes? Adding. When I go to check out at the grocery store, they add everything together. Is everybody with me for that part? Any questions on that part? Great. And then he wants to spend no more than $30. No more than. So the total he spends, does he want less than or greater than $30? Less than. Make sure that word no in front is important. So we're going to have less than. Could he spend exactly $30? Yes. So we're going to underline that word equal to. That's your first equation. Any questions on coming up with the first equation? I just grouped money with money, right? Okay, so now let's talk about calories. How many calories are there for apples? $200. So we have 200 for apples, plus how much for grapes? 300. Okay? Then the total is going to be 2,000. Do I want to have less than or greater than 2,000? Greater than 2,000. He wants the total to be greater than 2,000. Which way is greater than? Show me with your hand. Is it this way or this way? Good. This should be greater than 2,000. So what's my correct answer? I think I heard it. Heard it again. Yeah. B. Great. B is our correct answer. Any questions? No? We're all good? Okay, so here's the next question. So the next one is on page 8, number 11. Go ahead and turn to page 8. For this one, when we're solving system of equations, we can use graphing, substitution, or elimination. What do we think would be the easiest to use for this one? Elimination? So elimination works really well when you have variables on the same side. But do you guys see how we have one variable all by itself? If you have one variable by itself, you want to use substitution. Okay? So it tells me that x is the same thing or equals y plus 1. So what I'm going to do is rewrite the first equation, but instead of x, what should I write instead? What was it? Not just 1. This whole side, y plus 1. It's the same thing. This is when we talked about substitution, we talked about it in terms of sports. You don't want to substitute in your quarterback for a wide receiver. They're not the same thing, right? But you want 2 different wide receivers to be interchangeable. Or substitutes. You want someone who can come in and teach, right? So we plug in, instead of x, we put in y plus 1 because they're the same thing. They might look different, but they're the same thing. They told us they were equal. So all I did was rewrite the first equation, but instead of x, I plugged in y plus 1. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So then we're going to solve. What's my first step for solving that one? Multiply. We're going to distribute the 2. And so we're left with y equals 2y plus 2 minus 4. Now what do I do? Yeah, we can combine these like terms. So we'll have y equals 2y. And then what's 2 minus 4? Negative 2. Okay. Next step. We don't divide yet. We want to get all our variables on one side, right? Subtract 2y from both sides. So what's 1y minus 2y? Negative 1y equals negative 2. Now what's my last step, Tyrese? Divide. We divide both sides by negative 1. And you get y equals positive 2, because our negatives cancel. Are we done? We have our y, but now we need our x. How do I get my x? Plug back in the y. So I'm going to plug it in where it says x equals. And then what's my y? You told me it was 2 plus 1. And I heard Michael, he said x equals 3. And then that's all. Very good, very good. Anybody need more time to write any of that down? Okay, good. Moving on to the next. This one is page 9, numbers 15 and 16. That over, page 9. All right. Now for this one, do we want to use substitution, elimination, or graphic? Elimination. Perfect. For elimination, that means I'm going to be multiplying that bottom equation by something. What should I multiply it by? By what? I heard it. By 3? If I multiply it by 3 and I add them, I'd end up with 6x. So instead I need to multiply by, I heard Michael, I think, negative 3. I heard negative from somewhere behind me. by -3. And if you multiply that equation by -3, you get -3x. What's -3 times -y? Positive 3y.
If y'all are writing this down, if you don't remember it, this is the only day we're going over systems.
Remember, we add them both together. What is 3x plus -3x? If you have $3 and then I take away $3, how many dollars do you have? 0. And then what about -3y plus 3y? What's 3 minus 3? So we got 0 equals 0. Infinite solution. Remember, when we get 0 equals 0, it sort of looks a little bit like an infinity. Not exactly, but a little bit. But I used to say, does 0 equal 0? And then you guys would say yes. And I'd say, would it always for all of infinity? Yes. So this would be infinite solutions. Okay. What about the next one? What should I multiply it by? -3 again. So when we multiply it by -3, we end up getting -3x plus 3y equals -3. The only reason I skipped through that is because we just did it on the one above it. But the difference is the equation above it. So when I add them together, I get 0 plus 0 equals 7 plus -3, which is 4. Does 0 equal 4? No. So Tyreek is right. It is no solution. Does anybody have a question about the difference between infinite solutions and no solutions? Great. I'll give you a couple more seconds to keep writing this down. The next one is page 9, number 18. Another word problem. So what should I do when I see a word problem? Underline or highlight. Love it. Okay, so she has 5 coins. Even though it's a word number, I'm still going to highlight it. 5 coins worth 65 cents. Okay. She has quarters and nickels. I know that those aren't numbers, those are words, but what are they worth? 5 cents and 25 cents. So they're still numbers, even though they're words. Okay? So she has an amount of money that equals 65 cents, right? How much is a quarter worth? So for however many quarters she has, we don't know how many, it's worth 25 cents. Okay, so what am I missing after the plus sign? What do I need to add? How many nickels she has? What else? How much are they worth? 5 cents. Does that make sense? I'm just filling in how much each of them is worth. I know she has 65 cents total. Honestly, on these questions, when I was your age, I would draw pictures of the coins. Like I would be like a circle with 25 cents in it, and then I draw a circle with 5 cents in it. If that helps you to like think about actually holding the coins, that's totally fine. Okay, so we also know she has 5 coins. Y'all tell me we don't know how many quarters she has, and we don't know how many nickels she has. But we do know that the total number of coins, that she has 5 of them. So that would be your system of equations that you could solve. How many of you realistically think you could have come up with those equations? Raise your hand. Okay. So let's try it the other way. You know she has 5 coins, right? So draw yourself 5 circles on your picture. Tyreek, how many quarters do you think she has? Just guess. 2? Okay. So he's guessing that she has 2 quarters. So in 2 of your circles, put 25. And the rest of them would be nickels, so they're worth 5 cents. So for the rest of them, put 5. Count up your money. How much money does she have? 65.
So y'all realize, like, most of these questions are going to be multiple choice. You can guess and check. A lot of people I heard at the very beginning, a lot of y'all had 2 quarters. You got the right answer. So you did that by guessing and checking. That's what you actually did. So make sure to draw pictures. Do what you need to do to get the answer.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that seem easier than coming up with those 2 equations? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It's more important to me, and honestly to a lot of the test makers, that you can use logic rather than you doing the math. Okay. All right, next one. Who said it? I heard an answer. You think it's Steve? So what I would do if I were you, I would plot these points and see which one seems important. So we have 0, -2. We have 0, 4. 2, 0. And 3, 1. Even if you don't remember what a solution to a system of equations is, which one would you guess based off of these 4 colored dots? Seems like it has something to do with both lines. The blue one, right? Because it's where they cross. It has both lines. So it says 2 lines. Otherwise, they would just ask us about 1 line. The only answer choice that has to do with both lines is the blue dot. So we know that our right answer is D. Cool? All right. Based on the table, at what points do the lines y = -x + 5 and y = 2x - 1 intersect? What does intersect mean? Where they cross, right? An intersection. So C, this point right here, is on both tables.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Same. Get it? We all feel okay? All right, page 11, number 27. If you were to plug in each one, just to figure out how much they were worth, you know, if you started with A, $7 per cap. So it would be $70 plus the $50 fee, right? You all okay on that? And then company Y would be $90 plus the $30 fee. You can come up with the equation too, which would just be 7x plus 50. But if it helps you that this says caps and cap, that's all you need to know. How much per cap?
This question was also from your test too, and I remember Damon, when he took his test, started with $50 and he just kept adding 7, and then started with 30 and kept adding 9 until they were the same number. However you solve it, that works if you're more of an algebraic thinker, but remember, use what makes sense to you.
Good? So these problems on the board are the extra credit. If you haven't already taken a picture and you want that extra credit, you're feeling like you've been slipping a little bit and you want to make sure your grade's okay, then these are the extra credit problems for systems equations.
So take a picture of it real quick, because there are 2 homeworks. Your 2 homeworks are going to be the last 2 units we're going over, which is exponential and quadratic. So if you feel like you need extra help on systems or you want that extra credit, take a picture of this and you can work on that during the rest of class. If you want to start your homework, you can do that. But remember, you're doing one or the other.